Hello, this is Patrick. This is not for everyone today. It's not your typical video, so you can turn it off if you're not interested in a general flow of what's going on in the world. All right? Basically, this is about the pendulum of energy going forward, and it's going back and forth, and all these social, psychological movements in our culture are, in fact, changing radically. And so we have this ideology now. I'm just going to call it radical feminism versus the eunuchization of men, making men eunuchs. And this is about masculinity, I guess, in some ways, because they had to get rid of masculinity and femininity and motherhood and the goddess energy. They had to get rid of all these concepts, what they represent. And they had to bring in this artificial idea, you know what I'm talking about, of Hugh Hefner and Gloria Steinem. Those are artificial constructs. And they have created this world we live in today, this culture. That's where we're at. The 60s was, you heard me talk about this before, was a spontaneous spiritual awakening. It was a boom. It's a precursor to today. And what happened is they saw that. Darkness saw that and took advantage of it and hijacked it. And that's what Hugh Hefner, he's like a pig. He should not have been immortalized the way he is. And he eventually will disappear from the consciousness of people because of his darkness. And this goes with a lot of things that came out of the 60s. And I've talked about it too, like Timothy Leary, the drugs, dropping acid. I know people that were sleeping and people came and dropped LSD in their mouth. And it has a profound impact because you don't know what's happening. They think, you think, and they did that on purpose. They did it to put fear in you and to make you, and they really did it to the people that were awake. So if you're spiritually awake and you're brilliant and you had insight, they would do things like this to you. And I never read, was it Ken Kesey? Yes. Merry Pranksters. They went around, they dropped acid, LSD in Kool-Aid and gave it to farmers. And they thought this was the biggest joke. You see the darkness they came from? These people never came out and said sorry. These books are still being pushed like there's some big, insightful book into the soul. No, you invaded someone's freedom, the soul development. And they don't know what's going to happen. You wake up and you're in this hallucinogenic fog and you don't know what's happening. And that's the evil of the times. And they did this and they thought it was all funny and they spread. And that whole Jane Fonda culture, the Chicago 7, it was all fake. It's all fake. It's all counterculture to, they saw themselves as a wrecking ball against the Christian culture. Guess what? They don't have anything to replace it with. The Christian culture of the day was not perfect. I mean, far from it. We had a lot of things to fix. But the wrecking ball, as they saw themselves, well, we're just going to destroy it. And then everybody for themselves. And that's where we're at right now. Everybody for yourself. Anything goes. There are no moral parameters. And it doesn't work. It dies. if now Trump is a counterweight. In essence, the universe came down. God, the energies. Because he is being protected. He is being inserted. He's agreed to do it. He said, okay, I'll do this. He's not going to last his whole term. He can't do it. But he's going to do his job. And it's going to be, and then I already discussed how I saw it. It could be something else, all right? It could be something else. But he's really articulating through his construction background. And I said that before. If you go onto a construction site, you see the dark side of masculinity. It's pretty, they have a foul mouth, and just because you're bumping your head on steel and concrete. Your hands are all. And I did a little construction, and I hated it. It was really hard. It's hard work, and the people that are in it are tough. They really are, especially big job sites. They're dangerous, and they swear a lot. They swear a lot. And Trump probably uses colorful language to express himself, but it's sort of what we need. In a way, he's the counter masculinity wrecking ball that's going against the snowflakes, the political correct, because the snowflakes and political correct are out of the LSD Timothy Leary stuff. You know what I mean? That's and I'm just not saying him. I mean, there's like hundreds of these books that came out, and they developed this, cosmopolitan, and it's like it's artificial. It's an artificial laboratory thing. So, if Trump's masculinity wrecking ball does not work, well, we're going to die anyway. So it's like a desperation. This is a desperation. And a friend of mine, I told him about, at the time, 2015, that summer, you remember I said Trump was going to win. So I put up the 22 candidates, and you go through, and what's the probability of each candidate? And it's like 1 or 2%, right? And then you get to Trump, and boom, it's 95%. In general, it's 90%. Even though I said 85 on the top, I used a lower figure, but in private, it was always 95%. It was a done deal. It's like guaranteed. Ivanka Trump is almost guaranteed. All right? But she's not there yet. I don't think she's ready. And I think when she sees what happens to her father, she's going to change as they unfairly tar and feather him for the next year. He's going to do this. And it's going to be significant to the culture. It will change it for the better. And it'll prepare us for what is going to happen in the future. For some reason, it was important that he came. And that's why they can't. They have not been able to remove him. Both, whatever way, impeachment, anyway. All right, I'm not going to say the other ways. But he's pretty much protected. It's really kind of weird. And they've tried everything. So, masculinity and femininity no longer exist in the United States. We don't have the goddess energy here. We don't have the masculine energy here. You got rid of it. Now, the masculine male as a group is going to, people are saying, is it going to reassert itself? And I saw some people said they thought it was going to come back. And that makes sense, because if the goddess comes back, it is important to have the masculine energy. They counter each other, the yin and the yang. I mean, that's what it's all about. So that's going to be part of our culture, what's coming up. And the masculine will start asserting itself between the anti-family energies. And here I'm going to get in hot water, but it is our duty as a civilization that there's a balance. This is metaphysics between masculine energy and feminine to raise a successful seed, a child to grow up balanced. If we don't have that. We don't have that as a society. All right? So half the children are being brought up in single family, and the mothers don't have enough money. And the masculine energy is not there. And she's under all this burden in a way. So it's not working. This is an artificial society, and it's the post-industrial society. It's the information society. It's all these cute things, but it's not superior to what we left. It's not an improvement. And some people go, well, let's have women in combat, as if that's an improvement. No, the women don't even want to go to combat. They don't even have front lines. Like a couple do. Okay, there's a couple, but you can't force. They want to bring back selective service, and so we're going to start the draft again, and we're going to put women in combat. And go, this is nuts. Of course, this is sick. This is the energy taken to an extreme, and all these things will be corrected. All right, and that's kind of like what I want to talk about. I just wanted to mention that femininity will be coming back into vogue. The goddess energy, which is a little bit more, as a culture, we're going to be shifting into that, and that's true. But it's, they don't think it's going to be at the expense of the masculine. The masculine will be there. Without the masculine, you don't survive. You die. The culture just keels over and dies. So there's going to be a struggle coming up. That's part of the struggle. You see it on the university's campus. The universities really, right now, don't deserve to survive. They're this extreme philosophic and energy field that is shielded from the world. They're just talking to each other, but they're out of step with society. And society is going to get rid of them. The men won't go to the university. Why go there? All men, all races, all men are not going to go to the universities. And they're already, like in some of the Scandinavian countries, it's almost up to 70% women are in the university. The men aren't going. So they're not giving their power over to this artificial construct where you can just beat on the men. That's it. And so this is coming into play. And it's not the feminine energy doing this. It's this artificial, and the cosmopolitan thing. It's all fake, all right? And you can't have 50% women living alone over 50. There's something wrong here, and it's basically the system that's set up. Obviously, needs to be corrected, and it's not. The correction is not going to go back to where we were in 1950. It's just going to be a new balance. We're just going to go into a new phase, and the whole society will be more sensitive. All right, and I'm not a masculine guy, so I don't represent the what I'm talking about. But masculinity, it's energy to assert, to build, to construct. Those are all the things. To go out and protect, and the energy of Gloria Steinem and things of that nature that's the energy, the same energy. You can see it. There's no borders. Come up. All the people come up. No, that's existential. That means you're dead. Your civilization dies. So you can play with this in your head for yourself and see how this is going to work out. Everything the universities are saying is wrong, unless you go over to the math department and the physics department, but even those laws are changing to some extent, but I think we're going to get rid of a lot of the universities. Will just disappear. And the ones that have the physical knowledges of what I just said, the physics and chemistry and biology, they're going to continue. And they're almost free of the feminine masculine war that's going on. And we need to construct it so the children have a safe environment to grow. And right now they don't. Society is really dangerous for the children. I don't, and especially like, there's a lot of issues we're not talking about. And I won't even talk about it. Because we went through such a radical part, in their philosophy, that it's really dangerous we don't have a country in the future very soon. Unless this pendulum comes back and we find a golden mean where there's masculine and feminine energy in the households and the jobs, and right now it's gone off a cliff, and we're not going to survive. There's no way we're going to survive. It's kind of dismal, but that's why it's so important this couple of years, this year coming up, 2 years coming up, to bring some correction. Because if we don't bring this correction, then we die. It's gone over. And that's why all these psychics you hear are saying, all these really end of the world things. Well, that's if we don't do anything. But I believe that the pendulum's going to change. So it's really difficult to see what we're going to actually be. But the correction will be great. and it'll be a safe space for children, not for uh, angry college kids who don't know what they're talking about. Because all of you have gone through relationships, you lived out in the world, you know it's off. You know this is wrong, and the universities need to be taken back to reality, or they disappear, and we'll make the universities homeless shelters or AIDS hospitals and things of that nature. I mean, we don't need them if this is all they get. The second point about the universities is it's all going to go online. It's all going to go holographic. It's all going to go, we're going to have superior teachers teaching. I don't want to hear a stupid person teach me, especially if they're disconnected from their higher self. Totally, which they are now. Because if you got this tattoo culture where you tattoo your face and stuff, that's crazy. That says a lot. That says a lot. And we must respect each other and ourselves. You must love yourself. And when you love yourself, you can love others. It's easier. When you have self-respect. Anyway, those are things you already know. And it's going to be a very tumultuous year. And I'm going to go through some topics and make a little predictions, all right? But I made predictions last year, and they're still in play this year. For like Merkel will disappear. Prime Minister May will probably disappear. Mueller's investigation is going nowhere. I thought he would be gone by now, but he's very extremely weak. He doesn't want to be there, so he's just kind of hanging around doing stuff. And he could leave at any time, or it can go on. You know, he doesn't want to be there, and so a lot of those predictions are still in play. All right, and thank you very much, and we'll talk later. Bye bye.